I'm worried about the birth of my child that I have yet to conceive. Yeah. Hey guys, today I just want to do a video on my birth fears. I know this is probably, you're not even pregnant yet, why are you even worried about this? But I kind of want to do a video on my fears right now, and then hopefully by the time I actually do the IVF and hopefully I get pregnant, maybe I'll have some less fears, or maybe some of my fears will be the same, or maybe you guys at this video can give me some suggestions or advice and maybe help with reducing some of those fears. So for those who aren't following me, I have severe endometriosis as well as a bicornuate uterus. So instead of my uterus being nice, it's like dipped down into like a heart. There is also what's called a septum, which if any of you watch Daily Bumps, Missy Lanning had a septum where the inside went down, but it was just the inside of her uterus that went down. So they were able to cut and remove that septum. Unfortunately, with a bicornuate uterus, the inside and the outside go down, so it's not possible to have surgery to have it removed. The good thing about it though is, unlike a septum where there's no blood supply, so therefore if the baby implants on that side, you're at a higher risk of miscarriage and stillbirth. With a bicornuate uterus, you're not having that higher risk of miscarriage and stillbirth. I think there's like a slight increase of miscarriage, but it's like minuscule. It's not like with a septum where it's like 50% or something crazy like that. It's like teeny tiny. So I'm not concerned about that. What I am concerned about is the birth. And the reason for that is because most babies with where the mom has a bicornuate uterus are breech. And that's because the baby just gets itself in a position and then later on in the pregnancy it can't turn. My other concern is it runs out of room sooner, so you end up having a premature baby. So first I'm going to go over my fears for premature, and then I'm going to go over my fears for full term. So my main fear with premature is the baby is premature. My friend had a premature baby, and even though she is healthy now, just seeing all the struggles that she went through with the premature baby, and she was in a different city and not having help or support and whatnot. She was pumping breast milk and bringing it over, and then the baby was bottle fed with it. She did successfully breastfeed for I think like 5 months, but I really want to breastfeed a lot longer than that, and I'm afraid that like the premature baby aspect is going to interfere with that. Also, if I'm stuck where she was stuck, I don't know what I would do with Taylor and like work and whatnot. Like, well, I wouldn't be working because I would be on maternity leave, but just a lot of stress with a premature baby and like health wise. And she had was having not seizures, but something that looked like seizures. So she had to go through all these brain scans recently. Like this was I think in October or something like that, where she had to do that. And I don't know, just the constant worry and whatnot. If you guys have a premature baby, you probably understand what I'm saying, where like there's lifelong issues with premature babies. It's not just, oh, they're premature, they survive their first whatever month or two and they're fine. There's long-term health issues with premature babies, and that just scares the hell out of me. However, it's not a guarantee I will have a premature baby per se. I probably won't go full term, but it's not like I'm guaranteed to have a baby at 25 weeks or something like that. I don't know how deep my uterus goes, like the bicornuateness goes. My fertility specialist says that it should not be an issue during pregnancy, but he is not a gynecologist, OBGYN. He is just an RE. So I'm not sure how much knowledge he has specifically about bicornuate uteruses and pregnancy as much as he has fertility. Like we know that we have to do a mock transfer because there's risk of not putting the embryo where it needs to go and stuff. But yeah, I don't know if I trust him 100% when it comes to pregnancy stuff. So that kind of takes care of my fears for premature. Basically just the baby being premature is the fear. And all the stuff that goes along with having a premature baby. My main fear, I think, is the general fear of, even if they are full term, having a C-section. And it's not so much, so let me explain this. So because the baby is breech, I would have to have a C-section. And even though I could probably find a midwife or a doctor that will deliver a breech baby, every story that I've read so far where a woman has successfully delivered a baby vaginally who has had a bicornuate uterus has had a retained placenta. So they've ended up going for surgery for the retained placenta. And I am single, and I will be single when I give birth. And the last thing I need is to have to go for surgery after the baby's born. Whereas I know with a C-section, I plan on staying at my mom's house as long as I can tolerate them, so that I have help for the recovery of the C-section. Whereas I won't have that if I have to go back for retained placenta. And just the risks of hemorrhaging and stuff like that scare me to death. So I have thought about it, because there's also like Spinning Babies that talks about being able to start turning babies early on. They have a lot of research online about using spinning babies to get the baby head down early, like 12 weeks, so that as they grow, you can get them to not be breached. But I know for 100% sure that I have issues with blood flow coming, like drainage. I don't know I can't remember how he explained it, but I have severe endometriosis because the way my uterus is shaped, when I have my period, instead of it all coming out, it like goes the wrong ways and stuff. So like instead of going all out, it goes up my fallopian tubes, into my ovaries and stuff like that, out into my like abdomen area and stuff. So it's not just, oh, you have a bicornuate uterus, your chances might be lower of the retained placenta. I know that my uterus does not like to go down. Stuff does not like to come out of it. So, which I always thought was weird, why I didn't have like super heavy flow, because I assumed, oh, endometriosis, I should have higher flow because that's a common issue. But no, because it's too busy going everywhere else. So I am 99% sure at this point in time I will not go with a midwife. I am going to go not with my current OBGYN because I don't like him, but my mom's is really nice apparently. So I think I'm going to try to get in with him and ask for an elective C-section, which I'm sure there's a lot of you out there that is like, no, don't do it. But I just think for my peace of mind, it's better. I just don't want to be worried about having a retained placenta and whatnot. If there was not the retained placenta issue, I would be whatever. I will find a way to either deliver a breech baby or get that baby turned around. I will have a vaginal delivery. But the retained placenta scares the hell out of me, especially because I'm not going to have like help for very long. And with a vaginal birth, I probably would go home. From the hospital, you leave within 24 hours with a vaginal delivery, and then I would probably only stay to my mom's house for one night because I don't think I could tolerate staying here for that long, knowing that physically I can take care of the baby. At least with the C-section. For one, you usually leave 48 hours after the birth. And two, I would also know that I would want to stay here longer because I physically need to heal. Whereas I think with the vaginal birth, I think I would be like, well, I'm fine. I can go home, like to my own place. Whereas I know with the C-section, I'm going to be more willing to be like, no, I need help. We'll see at the time, but I just have a feeling that the C-section, I'm going to accept more help. And also with a scheduled C-section, it kind of takes away things like worrying about going to labor and whatnot. I know I'm going to have a scheduled time and I can make sure my mom's going to be there. But I do have a lot of fears with C-sections. One, I read a book for my postpartum doula courses and I shouldn't have. It's called Cesarean Voices. I do not recommend you ever read it. Unless you have had a traumatic C-section and you need to feel like you're not alone, that is the only time I think I would recommend this book. But for anyone who's had a C-section and it's gone fine and you've had no issues, or if you have a scheduled C-section or you are worried about having a C-section, even if you plan a vaginal birth, do not read this book. It is basically C-section horror stories, which I do know some people that have had traumatic C-sections. I get that. It's not 100% magical for everyone's birth to have a C-section, especially if you planned a natural vaginal birth. But I just feel like, as someone who basically has such a high chance of having a scheduled C-section, reading the horror stories of the complications they had, and like, I mean, they're written by moms. So, how do I explain this? Very doom and gloom. Like, if you have a C-section, you will never bond with your baby. You will never breastfeed your baby. You will never feel like the same again. You never. Basically, your whole life is going to be hell now that you've had a C-section. And I know there's plenty of moms out there. Kay Ball, I'm pretty sure she had a C-section with her son. I could be mistaken. But she breastfed her son for, like, ever. Tina from Tweedledee, she had a traumatic C-section with her first son, and she still breastfed him for a long time, and they have a great relationship. So I feel like the stories in that were kind of like scary and not needing for me to be read. But anyway, where was I going with this? So I have fears for the C-section. My main fear is that I won't have control, because I am a bit of a control freak, and I want things done a certain way, and my mom doesn't get it. My mom doesn't understand that the health system is not the same way as it was when she had her children. That if you request something, you might not get it. So, like, there's stuff like, I would like to breastfeed as soon as the baby's born, as long as the baby's healthy. I would like to have skin to skin while they're stitching me up. I would like the chance to breastfeed right away. And I don't know if I can get that. I mean, having a scheduled C-section and knowing who the doctor's going to be might help that, because I can discuss these things ahead of time with him and get reassurances, as opposed to an emergency C-section where you might just get whoever's on call. But still, like, stuff like that, or like, if I can't do that, I would like my mom to be able to do skin to skin. I just have fears with that. My biggest fear is breastfeeding. I am so worried that I won't be able to breastfeed. And as someone who has done, I've done a breastfeeding certificate course, and I'm currently taking my breastfeeding counselor. I have finished my postpartum doula stuff. I have finished my Hug Your Baby stuff. My postpartum doula and Hug Your Baby, I just need to do my hours for. So I've done a lot of training in breastfeeding and breastfeeding problem solving and whatnot. And I just feel like very determined to breastfeed. Like, 1 to 10, I am a 10. Like, I am going to breastfeed, and I'm afraid that I'm just not going to be able to because of the C-section. Because usually with a C-section, your milk comes in later and whatnot, which kind of goes along with my fear of them. Them as the nurses. I am afraid they are going to supplement without my permission. I mean, in Ontario now, the law for vegans is they have to provide you with a vegan meal at the hospital, which I will probably just have some meals pre-prepared at home, which is the glory of having a scheduled C-section. But my mom can then just bring them to me, because I probably won't trust them enough to provide vegan meals. Whether it's the law or not, I just can see them being ignorant about it and be like, well, we got you vegetarian, that's good enough, kind of thing. But I'm worried about them supplementing, especially if the baby's premature and my milk's not in. I'm so worried about them supplementing, and I don't want them having cow formula. If they have to supplement, like they have to, life or death, have to supplement, I would like soy formula. I have done lots of research on it, and I believe it's the best choice out of formula. But I want to breastfeed. I want my child to only have breast milk. I am very determined about that. I'm not against formula. Like, I understand women need to use formula for certain reasons. If that is your choice, that is your choice. But if you choose to breastfeed, you should have that choice as well. And as long as the baby's healthy, I'll be released within 48 hours. That's the hospital policy for the hospital I will be giving birth at, if the baby's not premature. If the baby's premature, it'll probably be at a different hospital, depending on how premature they are, because the children's hospital obviously deals with different stuff than the general hospital that I have in Niagara here. Even though they do have a NICU in Niagara, so it's not that, like, it depends on how premature they are. But anyway, so I am just afraid that they are going to pressure me to use formula. And my mom doesn't believe me that they will actually do that, but I just have a feeling that that's what they're going to do. And I want to breastfeed. And if that means, like, having to drive to the hospital to breastfeed all the time, that's what I'll do. I'm not sure what it is that after you're released, how long before you can drive again, but I have enough family that I can get a ride to the hospital to breastfeed. If that means going at 2 in the morning to breastfeed, or at least let me pump and, like, leave milk there or something. Like, I'm determined. And, like, I don't know, I'm just so afraid that they're going to give them cow's milk formula without my permission. Like, can they do that? Can they do that and give them formula without me consenting? I don't know. I just don't want them to be like, your baby's going to die if you don't give them cow's milk formula or something like that. Would they let me bring in soy formula? I don't know. I don't know. I could be totally worried for nothing, because the baby could be perfectly born healthy, have no issues, and we'll be on our way in 48 hours. But I don't know. I'm just so worried that they're gonna do something without my permission. Yeah. I don't know. That's my fears. Whereas before it was like, okay, like before I knew about the bicornuate uterus, I was gonna have a natural vaginal birth, possibly an epidural. I have allergies to certain pain medications, so that's a whole nother story. But so possibly with an epidural, but either way I would have been gone within 24 hours. So unless the baby had health concerns, at the time I never thought the baby would be premature, whereas now I'm worried the baby's gonna be premature. Yeah. And this is why I'd rather adopt. Yeah. If adoption was easier, that's what I would be doing, because I don't want to be pregnant and deal with all this. I really don't. But yeah. So let me know. I read a book on actual C-sections, like, not doom and gloom. Like, it did give pros and cons and stuff like that, and the risks and whatnot. I think it was like called the Complete C-Section book or something like that. But it was a little more upbeat and less, your baby's never going to bond with you if you have a C-section, which is so stupid, because I know with adoption and bonding and stuff like that, like, whatever. There are plenty of children born by a C-section, and not all of them are emotionally distraught for the rest of their lives. But yeah, let me know in the comments below if you had a preemie, or if you had a C-section, or if you have a bicornuate uterus and have had children, or like anything like that. Just let me know. Be like, Michelle, you're worrying for nothing. The hospitals won't do that. Or, yes, Michelle, worry about that. Make sure you have a plan in place, or whatever. Just give me advice and suggestions and comments and whatnot. Please, please, please. Yeah. That's it for today, guys. Don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. Like I said, questions, comments, suggestions down below, and I shall see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Starting off Millness March with the front closet, the entry of the house.